Imagine waking up tomorrow and realizing something terrifying and unimaginable. You can no longer feel pain. Not a paper cut, not the burning heat of a stove, not the dull ache of muscles after a long workout, and not the emotional sting of betrayal, heartbreak, or loss. At first, it feels like freedom, like a superpower that turns your body into an invincible machine. But very quickly, the darkness begins to creep in. Because pain is not your enemy. It is your body's survival system, a warning signal designed by millions of years of evolution to keep you alive. And when it disappears, danger hides in plain sight. Imagine sipping boiling coffee without flinching, or holding a hot pan over your hand without reflexively pulling away, or stepping barefoot on shattered glass and continuing to walk. Minor scratches silently become infections. Small fractures silently become permanent damage, and internal injuries silently escalate into life-threatening crises. Children with congenital insensitivity to pain experience these horrors every day. They chew their lips, scratch their eyes, fracture bones, yet continue as if nothing happened, and parents must act as constant guardians to prevent disaster. Emotional pain, the kind that teaches empathy, social boundaries, morality, and survival, also disappears. Heartbreak no longer teaches caution. Guilt no longer enforces responsibility. Embarrassment no longer enforces social awareness. Anxiety no longer prepares you for danger. Without these signals, mistakes repeat endlessly. Poor decisions pile up, and life itself becomes a series of invisible traps. Imagine trusting manipulative people repeatedly because betrayal has no sting, or pursuing reckless habits because failure feels weightless. Relationships flatten, vulnerability disappears, connection becomes shallow and temporary. Society itself depends on pain as a regulator. Laws deter through fear of punishment, social norms enforce behavior through fear of exclusion, cooperation relies on fear of harm, and without these pressures, the invisible threads holding communities together begin to fray. Even daily habits become perilous. Internal injuries progress unnoticed, infections spread silently, stress fractures accumulate, organs fail without warning, and small accidents slowly accumulate into catastrophic failure. The paradox is terrifying. What first feels like freedom, the absence of pain, quickly becomes imprisonment. Your body no longer whispers its warnings, your mind no longer registers consequences, and survival becomes a constant gamble. Yet the cruelest twist is that pleasure itself depends on pain. Relief feels intense because suffering preceded it. Warmth feels comforting because cold existed. Victory feels powerful because defeat was possible. And without pain, every joy flattens into bland neutrality. Love loses its urgency. Risk disappears from connection. Attachment becomes casual, replaceable. Stories lose their stakes. Heroes endure nothing. Struggles vanish. Narratives flatten. Awareness itself relies on contrast. Recognizing good requires knowing bad. Safety requires experiencing danger. A painless existence drifts into numbness. Nothing feels urgent or meaningful. Pain anchors memory. Intense experiences imprint lessons guiding future choices. Without it, mistakes endlessly repeat. Pain drives creativity. Discomfort motivates solutions. Dissatisfaction inspires innovation. Challenges push invention. A world without pain risks stagnation. Necessity vanishes, slowing progress. Courage is redefined. Bravery exists only because there is risk, and without risk, action loses meaning. Gratitude diminishes. Appreciating health after illness, peace after chaos, love after loneliness, all dull without suffering. Worst of all, a painless life disconnects you from reality. Silent hazards accumulate unnoticed, feedback systems vanish, and you drift through existence blind to the invisible consequences around you. Even as you function socially and professionally, the foundation that once warned, protected, and guided you has been erased. Consequences arrive not as warnings, but as sudden failures. Relationships collapse, health deteriorates, opportunities are lost, and the world quietly claims its due. Pain, whether physical or emotional, is what keeps your story alive, what allows survival, what allows joy to be meaningful. And without it, life becomes smooth, silent, utterly hollow. A sterile existence where choices, victories, and relationships lose their depth, urgency, and intensity. A world without pain is not paradise. It is a quiet hazard, a silent countdown where freedom has replaced warning, and bliss has replaced reality, leaving nothing but emptiness in its wake. And the ultimate, most terrifying truth: paradise without pain is not liberation. It is a prison of numbness, a calm that conceals danger, a life stripped of meaning. Yet evolution, psychology, and history all insist on one undeniable truth. Pain is the cornerstone of humanity, the engine of growth, the spark that gives stakes to every choice, the fire that makes joy, love, survival, and stories matter. And without it, even the greatest pleasures flatten, even the strongest bonds hollow, and existence itself becomes fragile. A silent countdown toward emptiness, leaving every person to wonder, what would life truly be like if you could never feel pain again? Imagine the world around you, a place where every minor misstep, every invisible cut, every unnoticed infection silently accumulates into disaster, because your body cannot alert you, cannot protect you, cannot stop you in time. Think of the evolutionary gift that pain once gave, the reflexes, the warnings, the emotional lessons that prepared humans to survive, to adapt, to build civilization. Now remove it, and the body becomes a bomb ticking silently beneath the surface, and the mind floats unaware above it, blind to consequences, insulated from signals, drifting through an existence that feels calm, but is silently lethal. Without pain, even joy loses its context, for intensity requires contrast. Pleasure is defined by suffering, success is meaningful because failure exists, love is urgent because heartbreak is possible, and courage exists only when danger threatens. Every moment flattens into neutrality. Every sensation becomes background noise. Every choice untethered from consequence. Children born without pain require guardians to prevent daily catastrophes. Adults without pain face invisible risks that can quickly turn fatal. Emotional numbness follows. Empathy, guilt, fear, heartbreak all vanish, leaving a cold, sterile existence, an illusion of freedom that slowly tightens into the chains of helplessness. Even relationships become fragile. Bonds are shallow. Attachment is temporary because the lessons of loss are gone. And society itself falters. Laws, norms, cooperation, trust all rely on pain as an invisible regulator, a silent teacher. Remove it, and chaos quietly seeps into the cracks. Physical injury becomes invisible. Emotional lessons disappear, and life continues, deceptively calm, until collapse strikes suddenly. And yet, humans continue to seek freedom from pain, dreaming of a painless paradise, unaware that paradise itself is defined by stakes, contrast, and consequence. Without pain, joy flattens, creativity stagnates, courage is hollow, gratitude fades, and life becomes an endless stream of unnoticed injuries, undetected risks, and silent disasters, a sterile timeline of calm that conceals catastrophe at every turn. And perhaps the most haunting realization is that pain, though feared, is the foundation of all meaning. It gives stakes to our actions, depth to our emotions, weight to our victories, and urgency to our survival. Without it, life is no longer vivid, no longer urgent, no longer truly alive. A painless existence is a paradoxical prison where freedom has replaced warning, where bliss has replaced reality, and where the silent, invisible perils accumulate without notice, transforming every moment into a quiet countdown toward emptiness. Pain is not an enemy. It is the essence of humanity itself. Without it, the world may seem calm, safe, and comfortable, but beneath the surface, it is silent, deadly, and hollow. And once you understand this, the question becomes unavoidable. If you could never feel pain again, would you truly be alive, or would you exist in a fragile, emotionless, hollow simulation of life itself, drifting through experiences that no longer shape, teach, or protect you? Until one day the story ends quietly, not with drama, not with climax, but with the silent, empty void that replaces all the signals that once kept you alive, aware, and human.